The urinary model. Kidney. The kidneys filter blood and create urine. Adrenal gland. This gland produces hormones such as cortisol and aldosterone. These hormones help to regulate blood pressure, blood sugar, and they also assist in metabolizing fats and proteins. Renal artery. Signified by the red artery entering the kidney, the renal artery branches off the abdominal aorta and is responsible for bringing waste-filled blood into the kidney for filtering. Renal vein. Signified by the blue vein leaving the kidney, the renal vein removes the filtered blood into the inferior vena cava. Abdominal aorta. The renal artery branches off the abdominal aorta and is responsible for bringing waste-filled blood into the kidney for filtering. Inferior vena cava. The renal vein removes the filtered blood into the inferior vena cava. Ureter. The ureter transports urine to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder. This sac collects and holds urine until it's time to be excreted. Trigone. In the shape of a triangle, the trigone is very sensitive to movement, and once it stretches to a certain degree, it will signal the brain that urination needs to occur. Urethra. Signified by dark pink, urine exits the body via this tube. Prostate gland. The prostate gland surrounds the urethra. The kidney. Renal cortex. This is the outer portion of the kidney, which contains many nephrons that are responsible for filtering blood and removing waste products. Renal medulla. This is the innermost portion of the kidney, and it contains the renal pyramids. Minor calyx. These minor calyces collect waste products from the renal pyramids and combine to form the major calyx. Major calyx. The major calyx channels waste products from the minor calyces through the renal pelvis and into the ureter. Renal sinus. A cavity within the kidney which is occupied by the renal pelvis, the renal calyces, blood vessels, and some fat. Renal pelvis. Formed by the collection of major calyces, the renal pelvis collects waste products from nephrons and filters into the ureter. The ureter. The ureter transports urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. The ureters move the urine via gravity and peristalsis. Renal artery. The renal artery branches off the abdominal aorta and is responsible for bringing waste-filled blood into the kidney for filtering. Renal vein. renal vein removes the filtered blood into the inferior vena cava. Hilum. This is the recessed location of the kidney where the renal vein, renal artery, and ureter enter and exit. Nephron anatomy. Renal artery. The renal artery branches off the abdominal aorta and is responsible for bringing waste-filled blood into the kidney for filtering. Renal vein. The renal vein removes the filtered blood into the inferior vena cava. Glomerulus. Located inside the glomerular capsule, together they form the renal corpuscle. The glomerulus is the capillary network of the nephron. Bowman's capsule. Otherwise known as the glomerular capsule, this capsule is a double-walled cup that surrounds the glomerulus. Afferent arteriole. Each nephron receives one afferent arteriole, which then divides into the tangled, ball-shaped capillary network that you know as the glomerulus. This afferent arteriole carries blood into the glomerulus. Efferent arteriole. This arteriole is of the same capillary network that brought blood into the nephron via the afferent arteriole. The glomerular capillaries reunite to form the efferent arteriole, which will carry blood out of the glomerulus. Proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal meaning closest to the glomerular capsule, or Bowman's capsule, and convoluted meaning tightly coiled rather than straight. This is the closest tightly coiled tubule to the glomerular capsule. Loop of Henle. Consists of a descending limb and an ascending limb. Distal convoluted tubule. Distal meaning further away from the glomerular capsule, or Bowman's capsule, and once again convoluted meaning tightly coiled rather than straight. This is the furthest tightly coiled tubule from the glomerular capsule. Collecting duct. The distal convoluted tubules of many nephrons empty into a single collecting duct.